Hey everybody, happy, it's Friday for us and welcome to Behind the Mirror. I'm your host, Keith Posehn, CEO here at Zors. I've got with me Dafra Sano, my our head of revenue and strategy, and Lynn Vlog, our head of operations. And we got a fun one today, just like always. Let's get into it.
You say Happy Friday, Keith, but Dafra,
Happy
it's not Friday
Saturday.
for you, right? It's
It's
already her
not.
Saturday
Oh,
morning.
yeah, it is Saturday at 1:25 in the morning.
Yeah, it's fun having Dafra work basically, the other 9 to 5 with us.
Exactly. The other.
So
I never thought about it that way, but yeah, exactly. The other 9 to 5.
how do you get through that 9 to 5, Dafra? Is it a lot of
Um,
you don't drink coffee, so what is this? A lot
no,
of
I
tea?
don't, but I
A
drink
lot of
chai.
tea.
I drink
She
like
drinks a
a
lot of
healthy
chai.
amount of tea. But honestly, at this point, the tea is more mental because I don't drink really strong tea. I drink like herbal tea and stuff. So it's more a comfort thing. So I have like my tea as a little blanket that tells me, oh, this is gonna help me.
Well, it works. It's your thing. Hey, I switched to decaf coffee just because I was like, you know what? The caffeine doesn't do anything for me, but I still love the flavor, and it just means I drink more coffee now. That's of course in keeping, right? But anyway, so team, we got an interesting one today. We're going to talk about innovative affiliates in the space. We're going to talk about like ways that they build trust or they build relevance or all these things. And we had a little bit of a debate before about it, but I think it's interesting because it's like, we think of, in the end, like, we all subscribe to the theory that, as marketers, we're storytellers first and salespeople second. We tell a story of value in the right way. People internalize that story and they take it and run with it because that's really all that we're trying to do is help people understand what's great. And
Hi,
there's a lot of
Keith.
ways. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
you know I think this is such a relevant topic to heads of performance, heads of
Hmm.
marketing, folks who work in performance, because it's our job to look for unique ways that we can reach an audience, right?
Yep.
Like we're all professionals and we know a lot about the key genres within partnership marketing, affiliate marketing,
Hmm.
but how do we think outside the box
Yeah.
and kind of
Yeah.
find like additional revenue, or we can put in air quotes here, incremental revenue? That's not the best
Hmm.
way to use that word, incremental, but it's thinking differently,
Hmm.
thinking outside the box of reaching your core demographics, your consumers, where they are at,
Yep.
and in a mind space that is critical for them and for you,
Hmm.
so that they end up being interested in your brand and transacting.
Yeah.
So I think this is a pretty cool topic.
It's just a
Hmm.
different way to think about partnerships. It's a different view into partnerships. When people think about affiliate marketing and they just think about, coupon websites and loyalty websites, which, makes a
Hmm.
fraction of affiliate marketing, like a large part of affiliate marketing.
Hmm.
I think that thinking about partners like the ones that we're going to discuss today allows you to see that partnerships really do come in different sizes and different flavors.
Hmm.
And that deciding to invest in partnerships sometimes means investing in channels that maybe you would have never had the opportunity to work with otherwise, because
Yep.
there are some partners out there that are just allowing you to be on TV, to be in mass media, to be in on like interesting segments in a way that is different and in a way that maybe you wouldn't have thought about otherwise.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think it's like, because at its core, like, relevance can establish trust.
Yeah.
Trust can create relevance. Like you can have those too. I think that like when you take a moment at like brand or search brand or excuse me, certain non-brand search, take a look at non-brand search. Google, we trust, or for a long time, people trusted Google on non-brand search results because there was a belief in the relevancy that you saw often. You couldn't really bid there unless you were relevant according to Google. And that was enough of a criteria that people trusted an ad there and said, this is going to be relevant to me in here. And I know that I think that's eroded a bit over time, but it's still the core crux of it is there. We believe that there's relevance that because of Google. And so we trust in the relevance in that case. And you can have trust that leads to relevance. You can have relevance that leads to trust. Either way, that might be a really interesting concept for another time. But I think that what's interesting too is, affiliate has such a broad set of available ways to be in a position to be relevant and to build trust with your customers that is often, I think it's more interesting than other channels because there's so many different ways that it can be done and see so many different places for it. Yeah, so I think it's interesting though. So when we look at other channels too, like, we think about like relevance of different affiliates, how they build relevance or they build trust. Other channels do the same thing. Like we look at search non-brand, non-brand SEM is like a key thing. We believe in the relevance of those results because of Google. We actually trust Google and trust Google to create relevance. And so that element of both trust comes from the belief in the relevance there in an interesting way. Others are more trusted, like you mentioned the points guy earlier, Doffer. Like Point TPG built his whole business on just straight up trust and also like relevance in a case, but he was so genuine about it. People believed in that, and he expanded his relevance as a result of his trust, or the result of the trust that people had within him. I think what's interesting about affiliate as a channel overall is, we're still in the game of like building trust, of leveraging the trust of a third party to go ahead and tell your story better than you can. And that's also a really compelling part of it, but it also is a way to create relevance or to improve relevance to an audience. So when we think of the different partners we work with in different places, like there's so many ways to be out there and be relevant to people. Like you mentioned earlier, couponology, Lim, that
Mhm.
is so interesting. Like, I mean, yeah, sure, it's a TV show about like deals, but oh my goodness, is it relevant and it's genuine? It's a live recorded segment. I mean, these are
Yeah.
amazing opportunities that we find in the space that are just. I think people don't realize that they're there.
For folks who don't know couponology, they work with big channels, local channels, call it like NBC New York, Channel 4, or a channel in South Florida, in the Miami area, or in Chicago or LA. And they'll have a couple TV hosts, talk about 3 or 4 different products that are
Mhm.
relevant to Mother's Day, back to school, July 4th, something. And it works well if there's like some kind of promotion or a coupon. So they'll talk about the product and then flash a coupon on the page, and it can perform really well, because if your demographic is trying to go after suburban moms or folks who are watching TV at these certain hours, like it's a fantastic way to be relevant to this particular audience. That's one.
Yeah.
For any other thoughts around like TV and throwing affiliate links and QR codes on
Yeah.
Yeah.
TV segments.
Definitely. I mean, first of all, I absolutely love couponology. I enjoy working with them. I think that the idea itself is fairly novel. Sure, it's a concept that has been done before, but the way that they're going about it, in my opinion, is different, and is fresh.
Hmm.
And I also love the team, and I really enjoy working with them. So, as far as TV is concerned, it's no secret that TV Scientific is one of my favorite partners on earth. I mean, I also
Hmm.
really enjoy the team. I love working with
Yeah.
Vicky.
Hmm.
Um,
Yes, much love for Vicky. She's
yes,
fantastic team there. Yeah.
fantastic team over there. And I love the way that they actually go about. I mean, I just love their ethos. TV Scientific just started
Hmm.
because they really did believe that they were able to make TV succeed on a CPA basis. Maybe for people who didn't have massive, like huge budgets to actually be on TV, where they really thought that they could actually work with people to buy some slots on like streaming services and would actually be able to make things back out into a CPA. Guess what? They
Hmm.
succeeded and they're doing really well and they're working with huge brands and they're just like making such a splash and I absolutely love it. On top of that, we worked with TV Scientific for one client where they were actually able to do better than the agency that was buying TV slots for the client at the time. They were
Hmm.
actually able to do better in one specific geo that the client did not even have on their radar. But working with TVSci actually allowed them to get a whole bunch of leads from that geo that turned out to be validated leads and to be like real people. So therefore, they were able to buy media at least in that geo much better than whatever in-house
Hmm.
person slash agency the client had at the time. So
Yeah.
working with TV Scientific and working with their agency turned out to be a match in heaven for them because they were able to, through both entities to actually reach as many people as possible and more people than they actually expected they would. So I just think that that's a phenomenal model. It's a great model that allows maybe companies with a somewhat limited budget to still be able to be on TV and to be on streaming services and to be able to get their content out there and their brand out there.
Yeah, and what I find interesting too is it's like, affiliate and partnerships are often viewed as a very tactical, lower level execution channel. But I mean, these are all partners that serve on a much more strategic level, a
They
brand
do.
creation level, but yet they're on a performance
Mhm.
basis. It's like, wait, so you can pay cost per conversion to get brand, and it's there because it gets such a big reach too. So it's really a matter of just like looking at it differently. And I think it's interesting too because one of our core tenets as a firm is like be present for a client strategically, be in that strategic mix. Don't be just tactical, because it's important to have that understanding, that vested interest in their success. But at the same time, it like leads to opportunities that I think are often overlooked because it's easy to pigeonhole channels. I mean, even search is easy to pigeonhole. I've found this issue before dealing with search in a number of different companies where it was looked at as a brand and non-brand play. And I'm like, there's a lot of nuance inside there. Brand has multiple purposes. Search brand has multiple purposes in there, like brand protection, competitive protection, or and sometimes just improving navigational access when your brand SEO results are confusing and messed up. It's like, well, you're going to improve your overall retention off of your brand page and your brand results anyways. But then non-brand search is made up of so many different aspects. And so if it's just interesting. So even that can get pigeonholed, but generally it gets it gets enough attention that people are willing to pull apart the nuance and understand how to apply it strategically. But the same opportunity exists in partnerships, and it's just we got to look at it through that lens. I think that's the big challenge for our clients, at least, that we help them solve.
Yeah, and I think TV Scientific gives brands a lot of control, right?
Hmm.
These are 15-second or 30-second video
Yep.
ads
Great
that the
hero videos.
brand
Yeah.
is creating,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
producing, and you give it to TV Scientific, and they're buying the media on CPA basis, and you get on high quality channels. They have over 120 streaming channels, and their targeting is really good
The targeting
because
is,
you can
is
target
really, really good. They
Oh
have
yeah.
right
really rich targeting.
Yeah.
like what did we try to target, well, like with one campaign recently, which is like, moms aged between 25 and 40, like
Yeah.
that's possible.
Oh, it's
um
amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's full
yeah.
like DSP level targeting and really high degree DSP level targeting, and it's amazing like what can be done here. And it's like that's just like one partner, and I mean, it's like we look at like a partner like Acorns, who has just an amazing set of data and also great trust and relevance. I know, Doffer, we're debating the trust versus relevance at Acorns, but there's a lot of validity. They're highly relevant to users because they're helping people on like a financial journey, but they've got so many things to offer that people you can put something there. It's just a great audience where if you have the right kind of product, it's so relevant to a user of Acorns as a platform. And much love to the team there too. It's so relevant to them that it's such a high value thing that it creates that relevance. Creates the trust, I think, in a way, because it's like, hey, I know that this is going to be important for me. And that's just like another example. There's so many different ways that partners have such great access and understanding of their audience, and it extends into places like creators. I mean, of course, MKBHD, to your point, Duffer, he's not an affiliate. He's like one of the creators out there, but at the same time, such a high degree of trust that they create a nexus, I think, of relevance in there. Like they're hugely relevant to people because they're so trusted in that sense. It's interesting to see how that's in partnerships everywhere.
For the audience, who is MKBHD? I think, Dafra, you are a big fan, so.
I am a big fan. My husband and I are big fans of him. His name is Marquis. I think I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
Marquis Brownlee. He is a tech reviewer. I'm not even that big of a tech person. I mean, I guess I have like the Silicon Valley starter pack, the MacBook. I have an iPhone. Like I have, like again the Silicon Valley starter pack. But I wouldn't even say that I am that big of a technology buyer. That's it. I watch him. That is how likable he is. Like
Mhm.
I'm not going to buy 50% of the thing he recommends, but I'm going to listen to that man. I'm going to listen to him talk about his like how he's passionate about certain products and the features of
Mhm.
this phone versus that phone. What am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Buy the next iPhone. Still, you will find me watching a review of a Samsung like raptly, like, this is something that I would purchase because I just absolutely love the passion that he has for what he does.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And in case I'm ever in the market for something, guess who I'm going to watch? Him.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoy watching him, and I just love seeing people that love what they do so much that they just inspire others with such a high degree of trust. Because people are like, he is a destination when I'm thinking about buying anything that is technology related.
That's a really great point. Like a creator is a destination for certain things. Like, so, talking like MKBHD, Points Guy, TPG.
Mhm.
I mean, he went ahead and created such a brand on that. Like, I read their content a lot. I don't
Hmm.
fly that often. I'm not
Mhm.
going to go get more credit cards. I already have too many American Express cards. And I'm firmly in their points camp. But I'm still going to look at the reviews and comparisons and go, oh,
Yeah,
that's interesting. Well, if I do want to fly to New Zealand, that's how I'm going to do it on points.
Mhm.
Like, to your point, it's a destination. And same with Marquez, like, MKBHD, same kind of thing. Linus Tech Tips, another one, like these are people I'm going to watch, even though I'm not purchasing 99% of what they talk about. It's a trust, such a high degree of trust and the genuineness of the person or the brand that makes a lot possible. And
that's it.
I find it, yeah,
That's it. As we're talking about
that's
this,
it.
there are some people that you will buy from. There are some influencers that I trust so much that it doesn't matter what they're
Mhm.
selling, I'm buying it. Like, drop
Okay,
something. If I'm like Christmas shopping, like I'm buying this for somebody on my list or for myself.
fair.
So um I mean, I enjoy reading about makeup, and I enjoy like talking about makeup
Hmm.
and about skincare products. And there are some people that I have been following for 10 years now, like 5 years, for a really long time. And the way that they show up for their audiences, the way that they give recommendations that consistently work, and the way that
Hmm.
they're just so genuine has pushed me to actually just always be on the lookout for the things that they're recommending, because I know that those things are always going to
Hmm.
be, or at least 90% are going to be a hit. So
Hmm.
that is also something that I think organizations should realize. There are some people will just buy from just because it's them, and just because the content that they provide is something that people are just so excited about. So I don't know
Yeah.
about you guys. Lim, I know like Lim doesn't get swayed by social media. That's it. Is there anybody that would recommend something that you would buy?
I mean, we go to Wirecutter a lot, right? Any
Gotcha.
Wired.
Yeah.
Yes,
household
yes.
Hmm.
That's another
appliances,
good one.
yeah. Like we
Hmm.
were on it yesterday because our water heater, not water heater, like a water boiler for our
Hmm.
kitchen broke.
Hmm.
And where do we
Hmm.
go first? Wirecutter.
Hmm.
And obviously they're owned by New York Times. They've been around for a very long time.
Yep.
Trusted source. They're
Very
relevant,
trusted.
and like that's who we go
Hmm.
to. So
I mean, for a it's a big purchase. I don't buy a car often, but I do love cars. For everyone listening, I used to be a race car driver, among all the other random things. There's a lot of car influencers that have a similar thing where they have such a high degree of trust that they will get people that were considering a particular brand purchase to shift or weren't in market for something and to move up market or to change the segment.
hmm.
One of those is like Jason Camessa over at Haggerty, amazing, absolutely amazing car reviewer, and the Throttle House, hilarious Canadian and Brit that are just, they're fantastic as well. But their ones are their genuineness again is very compelling. So I think to your point, Dofra, it's the connection that a partner can form with their audience that gets so compelling, and that can come in a lot of ways. It can come from a personal one, from the personality of the people behind it. It can come from just the quality of the content and the trust built behind it, like, Wirecutter, for example. And so, like, tie it all back in. I mean, in the end, it's still fundamentally the same thing we're solving for, which is creating trust and relevance in the markets and tell it so that your story is told effectively. And that's, I think it's just, remember, there's so many ways that this gets done. You can blow a lot of money into display, and display can be
Mm.
amazingly compelling, as we know, at scale. But the flip side is that it can't always hit that degree of trust building. It's more of a drip, constant stream, and
In your
yeah,
face. Yeah,
passive
like you see it.
impression that
Yeah.
turns into active, yeah, to that point. But I think strategically, I would pose to, right now in a market and the economy with tightening going on here in early mid, Q2 of 2025, where interest rates may be going up. We're looking at the specter of inflation, looking at potentially a market slowdown or recession. When ROI becomes so challenging, where can you get a combination of scale? Where can you get trust? Where can you get the things that really are the essential components of building your brand for the long haul? And it's like there are channels that do this But this is one I think, like, again, we just come back to partnerships and go, there's so much that can be done. It's just a matter of approaching it the right way
Mm-hmm.
and getting the blinders off. I think that's the other one. Is it's looked at in a limited fashion. So just getting out there, pushing a little bit more, and understanding that there's so many other ways to approach this.
So, one thing that I would add here is that it's all also part of an ecosystem. That is also something that
Yep.
people need to realize. The same way that
Excellent
you're
point.
thinking about display, that literally display will never have an ROI that's higher than one. That doesn't mean that display is not useful because display
Hmm.
has a halo effect. Having a display campaign on is definitely going to increase the numbers overall for all of the other
Hmm.
channels, right? Of course, it takes a healthy amount of brain power and like data science power to be able to prove that halo effects, but it is there,
Hmm.
which is the reason
Yep.
display exists as a channel.
Yeah. And we've
So
proven it before. We did that
yes,
at Uber,
exactly.
remember? Yeah. So we all
So
did that. Yep.
exactly. So it's necessary to understand that partnerships is part of an ecosystem. Now, partnerships is actually able to drive an ROI by itself. I feel like which makes it a little different from some of the channels because working with partners, working with a mix of like, creators and, brands like Couponology and that we spoke about, or like TV Scientific that we spoke about, and a mix of like your traditional affiliates as some people do coupon
Hmm.
and loyalty. Just working with like a really broad mix of organizations and people is going to help you drive an ROI that's going to be excellent, but then at the same
Yep.
time, it's also going to get your brand story out there. So it's all part of an ecosystem.
Yeah, it's about being strategic with your partner mix, the way you go to market, just like with any other channel. Well, how is it driving your business goals? And not just the tactical short term ones, but the longer, bigger goals that you're trying to achieve that fundamentally move your organization forward, which I think
Mm-hmm.
is it's often overlooked, and it's overlooked in other channels too. When it's like, oh, we need more money, let's put more into search. It's like, well, is that really going to serve your goals or just going to blow some money? you know, no, it's not always going to serve your goals. And so being able to have that kind of tie in and understanding how to operate against that, I think is really key.
And then coming back to the fight that I was having with Keith before the podcast,
Fight.
it was a fight
Discussion.
because I'm standing 10 toes on what I said. So here's the
I
thing,
agreed
right?
with you in the end.
That actually fair. I'll take that. You did agree with me in the end. But my point is that again, coming back to the fact that it's necessary to have a
Mhm.
wide breadth of partners,
Yeah,
relevancy and trust are not the same. It
it's
doesn't mean
true.
that they cannot both coexist. They're not the
Yep.
same. So when we think about a partnership, a partner like a TV Scientific or like a Couponology, I don't
Hmm.
think about them when I think about trust. That doesn't mean they're not
Yeah,
trustworthy.
it's fair.
They're extremely trustworthy partners to work with. So for a team like myself or like for an organization, there would be a partner that I would absolutely trust to work with. When I think about the end user doesn't know that the TV spot they're looking at on Peacock was served by TV Scientific. They have no idea. They're just like, oh, here's one of my favorite brands in the middle of a TV show that I love watching. And then this
Yep.
is actually happening exactly and finding me exactly where I'm at. And the message is just timed perfectly and it's relevant to what I
Hmm.
want and to who I am. Therefore, let
Hmm.
me go ahead and check this brand out. So these brands have mastered relevancy because of their amazing targeting abilities and also because of the prowess, like their technical prowesses, honestly, to be able to get the right people at the right time through the right medium. But then
Hmm.
when you think about a partner like Marquise, like we were saying, or about like a partner like the Points guy, or for me, Jackie Aina, who's a content creator that is focused on makeup and that I have been following for years. This
Hmm.
partner harvested. I have planted seeds over many, many years by just like, cultivating their audiences and providing things for their audiences, creating content and just like giving recommendations for years. And now they're at a point where people just trust them
Yeah.
and people just want to buy from them and people actually like them and they're excited that they succeed and then they will buy things that they release, they will buy any collaborations that they have because number one they trust that it's going to be quality and number two they like them and they were like,
Hmm.
hey, this person has given me so much over these years, this person has put like thousands and millions of hours in creating content for me. If I can do something to help them out, guess what, I'm going to do them.
Hmm.
So therefore things that they recommend, people will listen, especially when it's well aligned with their brand. Things that they like and that they tell people that this has worked for me or things that people are going to check out. So
Hmm.
that is raw trust for me, right? And that is literally the biggest currency they have. And that is the currency that brands can actually leverage to be able to get to end users, assuming that, the product makes sense and
Hmm.
assuming that the audience is matched. So for
Yeah.
me, there's a little bit of a nuance there.
I have a thought here, Lim, I want to run past you then. So as we talk about this trust and relevance, I want to get your take on this. I think that like trust and relevance aren't two sides of the same coin. They're different things, but one can lead to the other. High degree of trust can add and create and expand relevance. So, like Points Guy is a great example of that. MKBHD is another. He started with tech products. Now he has this channel Autofocus, which I, as a total car nerd, actually like watch habitually. Like, so increasing relevance through trust, but then also relevance creating trust. So Google with search, non-brand search, and just the relevance of search
Mhm.
ads over time creating trust in Google because the relevance was so high. So they can lead to each other, but they're still fundamentally different things. And they're
Yeah.
both can be leveraged in different ways. What do you think of that?
Makes a lot of sense. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
one can lead to the other. It's almost like a flywheel that can go in both directions.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Ooh.
so,
Yeah, I like that. A flywheel can go in
yeah,
both directions. Yeah, because it's like, yeah, I think like how do we leverage that all the time, but I'm like just curious like what you think like what other places that we can leverage this.
yeah. No, I agree. It's a place where um, whether you're an affiliate, a creator, I don't know where you start. Like you probably don't
Mm-hmm.
even know where you're starting,
That's
but
true.
you have to build trust with your audience.
Hmm.
Maybe that's where you start. Maybe it's the trust,
Yeah. I
right?
think that's one like the combination. It's kind of like looking for which one you can build on first. Like here's us sitting here doing our podcast
Yeah,
just because we need to talk about this stuff. We talk about it all day. Let's get the word out and talk more about it. But it's the same kind of thing, and you kind of build both together, but they are different things.
yeah.
Last thing,
Mhm.
is there any other partner that we want to talk about as far as partners that we think are doing something fun? I got one, but Liam, what
Oh,
do you got?
uh-oh.
The ones that we've talked about are the ones top of mind for me. They're
They're
so
good.
interesting. They're a little different. Yeah,
Hmm.
couponology, TV Scientific. Uh,
Acorns.
yeah, Acorns I think is the one that you brought up earlier, Dafra. Yeah, what
Hmm.
do you got?
I got a last one.
Uh-oh.
Commerce. Stack commerce.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
I like Stack. We
Stack.
like our friends are Stack too. Hi, Veronica.
Yep. Hello, Veronica.
But
Yep.
I like what they're doing. And again, I feel like they're just a solution that helps brands actually with a lot of relevance, and they help them end up in publications, in very prestigious publications, where they can hit their target audience and they can be seen by
Hmm.
people that actually would be interested in them. I just like enjoy brands that democratize access to certain resources, or like access to
Hmm.
certain, I guess, certain placements that generally are where like the barrier to entry is really high because of financial investment. And I just really enjoy brands that take on the very big challenge of making that those kinds of placements accessible to other brands just by,
Hmm.
again, the use of like sheer
Yeah.
sheer intelligence. I think it's really fun.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's interesting because we dealt with this for years. We dealt with a lot of interesting partners over at Uber, for example. When you were at Canva, Doff, or when I was at Square and other places. Hell, when I was an affiliate, just cutting my teeth on paid search as a paid search affiliate. So we've seen a lot of evolution. I do think right now we're seeing another big leap forward in it because there's so many different things, and a lot of the barriers to entry in affiliate have fallen. You have FMTC is like one way to get content, coupons, other things. There's a lot of different things that have made certain segments easier, but other things have gotten harder too. And the barrier to success
True.
is for affiliates has gone up. And it was already relatively high when I was in it. And it was a hard place to really like fight and win. But I think we're also seeing a lot of innovation in the space. Like again, like there's so many ways to apply this performance model to other areas, other ways to reach people, other ways to be relevant, other ways to build trust. I think that's a fascinating opportunity right now. I'm excited to see what publishers, what affiliates come up in the next few years because I think there's so many different ways to do it.
I
Yeah.
agree, especially with the use of AI right now. I know that there's a lot
Hmm.
of really interesting affiliates companies that are about to pop up,
Hmm.
honestly.
Yeah. There's been a ton. At um, uh, to give a shout out to our own spin out refinery affiliate, like automating, a lot of the different insights and other things, trying to make stuff easier. So everybody knows one of our company that spun out is called Refinery Affiliate, with one of our team and I co-founding it. That is a platform for marketing partnership automation and intelligence. Like, these are all things we're seeing. Like, this has to happen. People need to be using these tools, but we got to apply it there. And that's one of the ones where we're just like, can we
Yep.
take every single affiliate manager in the business and make them 10x more productive? Because we've all been there. We've sat in that seat and we know what it's like. Let's make their lives easier, because there's ways to make it better. But that's on one side. That's on the affiliate management side. And to your point, Dafra, I think AI applied to affiliates is going to be very interesting indeed.
I agree.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, team. That was a great one. Really appreciate everybody joining. Again, I'm Keith Posehn, CEO here at Zors. We are a strategic marketing consulting group that focuses on partnerships. So affiliate marketing, customer referral programs, influencer marketing, and now adding retail media into the mix. If your affiliate, retail, influencer, referral programs are not contributing at least 10% each to your bottom line, there's a problem and we need to talk. So hit us up, hello@zors.com, ZORZ.com. And I have Dafra and Lynn with me. Thank you both for joining us always, and we will see you all next week.
Thanks,
Always
everyone.
a pleasure.